Over the weekend, I went and saw the new Captain America, and I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on it. This isn't a scripted video or anything. This is just me kind of rambling after having a couple days to think about it. I can't say my excitement was too high for this one. While I don't necessarily feel the same level of superhero fatigue a lot of people seem to be feeling, and I've probably enjoyed some of the recent Marvel movies more than others have, I do think I'm falling into the negative camp on this one, and I definitely was feeling superhero fatigue during this because, frankly, it didn't feel very unique or like it was pushing the envelope. It felt very samey. It felt very phoned in. Honestly, while watching it, I couldn't help but think that this feels like an unironic Vought parody. Like they're not in on the joke, but they're making a movie that resembles and sounds like something Vought would make in The Boys. Like, the dialogue was so on the nose and Marvel-y. It's pretty weird to see in an actual Marvel movie them fail to do Marvel dialogue, or at least, you know, they do it, but they're not pulling it off. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people are sick of the kind of Marvel style writing, especially since a lot of other films that aren't Marvel movies try to emulate it and do a very bad job. But now Marvel seems to be on that same level where they're not even nailing the Marvel dialogue. And maybe part of that is, like I said, superhero fatigue. We've just had so many movies of it that we're just tired of it now. It's not fresh anymore. But the dialogue in this felt written by an AI sometimes. You know, while I was watching it, I had remembered that this movie went through a lot of reshoots, and I think it's very obvious which shots are reshoots. There's some really lazy cinematography in it, and it's just shot in a very uninspired way. I don't think I hated everything about it. I do think that this is one of my least favorite Marvel movies. Or even saying the word favorite is a stretch. It's not a least favorite. It's just one of the most least liked ones I've ever watched. It really just felt like a nothing movie to me. It didn't do anything for me except occasionally frustrate me with how like on the nose and predictable the writing was and the dialogue was, and how shitty some of the new characters were. Like, I really did not like the new Widow character or the new Falcon, but it wasn't all bad. I'll say, for a guy who has a reputation for phoning it in on silly projects like this, I thought Harrison Ford did a really good job. I mean, maybe he was phoning it in and he's just that talented, but I actually quite enjoyed Harrison's performance. I also kind of feel bad for Anthony Mackie in that way that one can feel bad for a celebrity, you know? Like, it's like, okay, I don't really feel bad for him. How many millions did this movie make? Like, you're fine. But I know that he cared about this project, and so I was kind of hoping that he'd pull it out, but I don't think he did. I think that this movie really misses the mark. The CGI, you know, it ranges from passable to looking like one of the Marvel TV shows. I just didn't care about the villain at all either. He just has no presence. I don't know, like Hydra in Winter Soldier had a much more ominous kind of feeling to them. Like, anybody could be Hydra, anybody could be coming against Cap. There was just so much more, I guess, suspense with Hydra. Whereas in this, I just found the villain annoying and not intimidating. And I also thought his plan was pretty stupid for a guy who's supposed to be like super brilliant in pulling the strings. Like, for instance, spoiler warning, towards the end of the movie, the villain turns himself in to undermine trust in Harrison Ford, in the president, in Ross. And really, he could have just written a letter or sent in a video to like the New York Times. You know, like, it just didn't make sense to me. I thought that the plan was his evil plan was not that well thought out, and the way that governments were playing into his hand was also very unrealistic. Like, this script, to me, like I said, not only felt written by an AI, but it felt like it was written by an AI that was told to write a superhero movie through the perspective of like a preteen. The navies of Japan and the United States are rushing to claim the Tiamat, the celestial island, as they call it in the movie. And I mean, like, okay, I could maybe stretch my belief to believe that, yes, there are countries sending in their navies as a show of force so that they can have a claim on the island / space alien. But I also was like just thinking like the optics of it. We live in a post Endgame world. Granted, I don't know all the geopolitics of the Marvel universe, but like, does Japan really think that they're going to be able to go head-to-head, one-on-one against the United States' Navy? I don't know. And the lack of dialogue between political bodies was also really frustrating. It's like, you know, just your governments just talk to each other and just keep talking to each other, but it felt very Mean Girls. It felt very like high school drama between politicians, and it was just annoying to watch. Their conversations would be like, well, I found out that you're actually lying, and then Harrison Ford, bless his heart, trying to do his best with what he was given, would be like, I'm not lying, and then like storm off. I don't know. I just thought it was a very immature look at what those types of political conversations might look at. It is very, very bare bones. And when you have something like that, where it's supposed to be these incredibly important, geopolitical thriller type conversations and situations, you kind of need it to be elevated a little bit more than it was. You need it to feel more real, or else you're just, I don't know, you're watching something that has no bite and you get lost, like emotionally. You're just like, I just don't care anymore. So yeah, overall, I really did not like it. I think it's a pretty big misstep for Marvel, especially with faith in the brand being at an all-time low. Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four are going to have to be pretty damn good to rebuild trust in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Granted, these movies are still going to make millions. I'm definitely not saying that they're not going to be successful. I think you're a few critical bombs away from that happening. Like, you'd have to put out 3 or 4 of these in a row to completely lose the steam that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has. And I just don't see that happening, because for every fan-hated Marvel movie, they put out a Deadpool 3 or a Spider-Man No Way Home, and it just draws people back in. Eventually, you are going to start losing some hardcore fans. That's about it. Again, really kind of word vomit. Not the most well thought out thing. I just was like, yeah, I want to keep in rhythm here. I just want to keep putting out some videos. So thanks for watching.